If you hold a UK driving license and you have been diagnosed with any health condition in the last few years, or if you are watching because someone in your family has, there is a legal obligation most drivers have never heard of. The assumption most people make about how it works is wrong, and that wrong assumption can have serious consequences. The NHS and the DVLA run entirely separate systems. They do not share records automatically. When your GP updates your notes or changes your prescription, nothing reaches the DVLA unless you personally report it. Under UK law, specifically the Road Traffic Act, the legal duty to inform the DVLA of certain medical conditions is yours alone. Not your doctor's, yours. Most drivers assume it works the other way. That is understandable, because the NHS manages your health records comprehensively and it feels intuitive that a driving authority would be connected to that infrastructure. But it is not. And the distinction matters enormously if you are ever involved in an accident. There is a fine of up to £1,000 for failing to disclose a notifiable condition, confirmed by the DVLA's official guidance. More seriously, Citizens Advice has confirmed that car insurance can be voided retrospectively from the date the condition first applied. Not just the date of the accident if a notifiable condition was not disclosed. 5 things to cover today. What the viral posts are getting wrong. What is happening with eye tests for older drivers. Which conditions you are personally required to report. How the age 70 renewal works, and one paper versus online detail that professional drivers especially need to hear. And finally, the precise role your GP plays in all of this. There is a clear action step at the end. Stay with us. Quick context before we go further. This video is made for UK drivers aged 65 and over, and for the families who support them, who want to understand their legal obligations around medical disclosure and DVLA license renewal. The goal is to give you a clear picture of rules that are genuinely easy to misread, because the official guidance is spread across several sources, and the connection between NHS records and DVLA records is rarely explained in plain language. Everything covered here draws from the DVLA's official medical conditions guidance. The Road Traffic Act. The General Medical Council's guidance for doctors on patient fitness to drive. And Citizens Advice. This is educational content only, not personalized legal or medical advice. And nothing here is a promise of any specific outcome in your situation. Rules change. Individual circumstances differ. And before any significant decision, you should speak with a solicitor, your GP, or a qualified advisor who knows your personal position. Now let us get into what actually matters. Number 5. Every few weeks, a wave of posts circulates online, claiming that drivers over 60 or over 65 are about to face mandatory annual road tests, new rules coming this year, failing which your license is revoked. This is false. There is no such rule, and there never was. Under the DVLA's renewal guidance, your photocard driving license expires automatically on your 70th birthday, not 60, not 65, 70. At that point, you apply to renew. The renewal is free. There is no road test. There is no written exam. You make a self-declaration. You confirm you can read a number plate from 20 meters. And you declare any medical conditions that could affect your driving. If nothing is flagged, the DVLA issues a fresh license valid for 3 years. After 70, you renew every 3 years. There is no upper age limit for driving in the United Kingdom. As long as you meet the medical and eyesight standards, you can hold a license indefinitely. When you see those posts claiming otherwise, they are wrong, and now you know exactly why. Number 3. There is an active government consultation on whether drivers aged 70 and over should be required to have a formal optician's test at every 3-year renewal, rather than the current self-declaration of eyesight standards. At the time of recording, this has not been enacted into law. It is a consultation, not a current requirement, and the outcome has not been formally announced. What matters practically is this. If you are over 60, annual eye tests are already free on the NHS. An optician checking your vision once a year costs you nothing and takes about 20 minutes. If the mandatory eye test proposal eventually becomes law, people who already attend regular NHS eye tests will barely notice the difference. If you are approaching 70 and have not had an eye test recently, going before your next renewal is sensible preparation. The standard you currently need to meet is that you can read a number plate at 20 meters with glasses or contact lenses if you normally wear them. Check what the requirement is at the time you renew, because these rules are subject to change. Number 1. Under Section 94 of the Road Traffic Act, every UK driver has a legal duty to notify the DVLA if they develop a medical condition that could affect their fitness to drive, or if an existing condition gets worse. The DVLA's official guidance lists the categories that apply. These include epilepsy or any seizure, diabetes treated with insulin where that treatment has lasted or is expected to last more than 3 months, dementia, including early-stage Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, a stroke, where there is a mandatory 1-month driving break while recovery is assessed, glaucoma affecting both eyes or causing significant visual field loss, macular degeneration or other conditions affecting vision in both eyes, serious heart conditions including atrial fibrillation, heart failure, and certain fitted pacemakers, sleep apnea causing excessive daytime sleepiness that cannot be adequately controlled, and multiple sclerosis or other chronic neurological conditions affecting coordination or movement. Now, an important correction to what several other videos are saying. Some list a TIA, sometimes called a mini-stroke, as always requiring DVLA notification. That is not what the DVLA's official guidance says. After a first TIA with full recovery and no ongoing neurological symptoms, you must stop driving for 1 month. If you recover fully and no other notifiable conditions are present, you may be able to resume without contacting the DVLA. Multiple TIAs, ongoing symptoms, or an underlying condition associated with the TIA do require notification. Check the DVLA's condition checker for your specific situation, searchable by condition name on the DVLA's medical conditions guidance page. Have you dealt with this yourself or for a family member? Drop it in the comments below. Every experience there helps someone else who is quietly wondering the same thing. Here is a situation that illustrates what is at stake. Drawn from cases that appear regularly in insurance and DVLA guidance, this is an illustrative composite. The scenario is typical. It is not a verified account of any specific individual. Margaret is 71, a retired school secretary from West Yorkshire. 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and managed it with tablets. 18 months ago, her GP moved her onto insulin. She had been driving since her mid-20s, short local trips, the weekly shop, collecting her grandchildren from school on Fridays. Nobody told Margaret about the DVLA. Her GP updated her prescription and her NHS records. She assumed that was sufficient. Last autumn, Margaret reversed in a supermarket car park and clipped another vehicle. No injuries, small damage. She did everything correctly, exchanged details, reported it honestly to her insurer. 3 weeks later, her insurer confirmed that the insulin prescription had come to light during routine checks, and that failure to notify the DVLA of insulin-treated diabetes had rendered her policy invalid from the date the insulin was first prescribed, not the date of the incident. The date of the prescription, she was left responsible for the other driver's repair costs with no insurance cover. Margaret did not know she had done anything wrong. She had assumed the system worked differently than it does. Number 4. The age 70 renewal itself is simpler than the social media posts suggest, but there is one detail that many drivers, particularly those who held professional licenses, have never been warned about. When your license expires on your 70th birthday, the DVLA sends a renewal reminder. You apply to renew either online or using the paper done form. Available free from post offices. The renewal is free. No road test. No written exam. You self-declare your eyesight standard and confirm any notifiable medical conditions. If no issues arise, your new license covers the next 3 years. Here is the detail that receives too little attention. If you hold additional categories on your license lorry entitlement, minibus, motorcycle, or similar groups you qualified for decades ago, do not renew online without checking first. The paper done form allows you to retain and confirm additional categories in a way that the online process may not carry forward identically. Several former professional drivers have found their additional entitlements reduced after a digital renewal without any warning. If you hold categories beyond a standard car license, request the paper form from your post office. That is a free step that protects entitlements you may have spent years earning. Number 2. This is where we close the question we opened with. Your GP has no automatic legal obligation to report your medical condition to the DVLA. Under the General Medical Council's guidance for doctors on patient fitness to drive, a GP's responsibility when a notifiable condition is identified is to advise you of your own legal duty, to tell you that a notifiable condition exists, and that you are personally required to inform the DVLA. That is the starting point. The obligation then passes to you. If you have a notifiable condition, your GP advises you of the duty. You refuse to stop driving or self-report. And your GP judges that your continuing to drive poses a genuine risk to public safety. Only then may a GP disclose information to the DVLA without your consent. Under the General Medical Council's guidance, that is a last resort. It is not routine. It is not automatic, and it cannot substitute for the legal duty that rests with you under the Road Traffic Act. The NHS and the DVLA are entirely separate systems. One does not feed the other. If you have been newly diagnosed with anything and assumed your GP's records update covered your DVLA obligations, that assumption needs to be checked today. 3 questions to ask your GP at your next appointment. Write these down. First, am I currently required to notify the DVLA about any of my conditions? Second, has this practice contacted the DVLA about my driving at any point? Third, has my condition or treatment changed in a way that would affect any previous disclosure? Those 3 questions give you the complete picture. If you believe a notifiable condition was not disclosed when it should have been, report it as soon as you become aware of the obligation. Voluntary disclosure before any incident is the legally correct step. The DVLA's Medical Conditions Reporting Service is reached by searching the DVLA's Medical Conditions Guidance page and selecting your condition. That is the action this video points you toward. 5 things. Quickly. Number 5. The viral posts are false. Your license expires at 70. Renewal is free. No test. Self-declaration every 3 years. Number 3. The mandatory eye test proposal is under consultation. Not yet law. And free NHS eye tests for over 60s already exist. Number 1. The conditions list is real diabetes on insulin, epilepsy, dementia, Parkinson's, stroke, glaucoma, serious heart conditions, severe sleep apnea, neurological conditions, and the TIA rule carries nuance. Other videos are getting wrong. Number 4. If you hold additional license categories, use the paper done form from your post office at renewal. Number 2. The duty to disclose a notifiable condition to the DVLA is yours, not your GP's. Voluntary disclosure, if something has been missed, is the right step taken now, before any incident. 3. Use the DVLA's condition checker today. Search the DVLA's medical conditions guidance. Type in any condition that applies to you. And read the current notification requirement in plain English. 5 minutes. No appointment needed. 2. If you hold additional license categories and are approaching 70, collect the paper. Done form from your post office before doing anything online. 1. If you have a notifiable condition that has not been disclosed, make that disclosure now before your next drive. The 3 questions for your GP are written above. A solicitor can advise on your specific circumstances if you need guidance on your position. You now have what you need to act. If you have a parent, a sibling, or a friend who drives and has had any kind of health diagnosis in the last few years, share this with them. Not because they have done something wrong, because nobody sat them down and explained how these two separate systems work. Now someone has. The next video on this channel covers voluntary disclosure in detail, what to do if a notifiable condition was not reported when it should have been, and whether acting now, before any incident, changes how the DVLA responds. That is the question many people watching right now are quietly holding. The answer is worth knowing. It is coming next.